Hello, friends and enemies. Once again, we're filming instead of recording and then adding visuals because of technological stuff. If it's your first time seeing me, you don't even know that. But if you're seeing me again, if you saw last time's, you already know. But those of you who did see my previous one mentioned you wanted to see more Winona, so there she is, and there's my Island Pigs calendar. Anyways, today's video is going to be about Latino-Fronted Goth bands from the United States. Specifically ones that still exist, and it's only the 50 states. I didn't include bands from Puerto Rico, even though Puerto Rico is a continent, is kind of considered part of the U.S. And only ones that still exist, because part of the reason I'm putting out 2 videos this week is because of the thing that's happening on Bandcamp, and I want you to go buy stuff on Bandcamp. And this is going to be a very exciting video. There's going to be some props and stuff. Like, starting with this here notebook with my friend there, which we're using to read my notes. And, yeah, there's going to be 20 bands on this list. And these might not be every single still currently existing Latino-fronted goth band from the US. There could be more that I just don't know of. And the way I'm ordering it, I just decided to go alphabetical because it made the most sense. Anyways, let's get started. We are starting with Annex, who you may remember from my previous video about Spanish language goth bands from the US. Anyways, like I mentioned, they're sort of punky and gothy post-punk. They're from McAllen, Texas. They sing in both Spanish and English. And they have a female singer, and she has sort of a higher voice than you typically hear from this subgenre of goth music. Usually in the punky ones, whether they're, gender regardless, they tend to have that shouty sound, or the female singers tend to have sort of a deeper voice, but she actually has a higher resonated voice for this subgenre, so that's interesting. After that is Blu Anxxiety. Look. There's their cassette. There's a split album they have. And this band is just, wow. They're from New York, New York. They are synth punk and dark freestyle. Frontman Dracula O is like the biggest weirdo in the world. I can't even really describe them compared to anything else because, they have a dark sound, they have a synthesizer sound, they're sort of punky, and I highly recommend you watch their videos because they are just so strange, and I'm very fortunate that I got to see them live once, and that was a very fun experience. Very high energy, even though he was apparently sick at the time, the main guy. And you can see me in all the pictures of that show because I'm wearing my checkerboard pants and my bright neon yellow boots and my alien hat that's neon green. Who said goths don't wear color? Fools, that's who. But what's sort of interesting about this band is that they, a lot of their lyrics are very politically inspired, which, I mean, they're not the only band or only goth band to do that, obviously, but I feel like this isn't, something you see a lot in specifically politico or anarcho-goth is that it's something more that you see in, like, horror rap where the spooky, creepy sound is sort of used to highlight the sort of sinister nature of social ills in society. So if you're a socially minded goth, I really recommend them. Next band is Cemetery. Let's see, where do we talk about Cemetery? They're sort of a dirgy, shouty, they're dark horror punk band from Orange County. So, like, I specifically called them horror punk and not deathrock because they are very much more of the horror punk sound, and then it's got that harder sound that we associate more, with punk, horror or otherwise. And it has sort of the dirgy vocals, but the shouty sound as well. Who's next? Cold Choir. That's something totally different. They are a dark dance music act from Asheville, North Carolina. They call themselves, they're darkwave, but also new disco. And they remind me of Boy Harsher. I know that they're pretty popular, so if you like Boy Harsher, you'll probably like Cold Choir. Next, we have Dead Colt. And Dead Colt is they're a female-fronted anarcho-goth band from Portland, and there's actually a lot of anarcho-goth, specifically female-fronted ones from the Pacific Northwest, and their sound really emphasizes a social distress. They're a little bit more almost gothic rock sounding, but still sort of punky-ish, as is typical for the anarcho-goth subgenre. So yeah, speaking of, if you're a socially conscious goth, I highly recommend you look into the anarcho-goth scene. Specifically, it's better if you're into death rock or horror punk, as that's the way it tends to sound. But yeah, after that is Deep Cavity. And they are from Riverside, and they're a more old school sounding death rock band. And a lot of new death rock bands don't really have the same sound. The vocals of the lead singer very much remind me of Roz Williams, as well as the subject matter. They mentioned, religious sort of things and blasphemy and all that. Good band there. After Deep Cavity, we have False Figure. Oh, look, another prop. Aren't you excited? Fun fact, I actually saw them live for like 10 minutes once, but that's another story for another day. They are from Oakland, California, and like most goth bands up there, they're a sort of death rock, dark, post-punk sounding band. But something that makes them a little unique is that they have that sort of discordant sound. So, yeah, I like them. And after False Figure, we have Fin del Mundo. This right here is, okay, so you know how last time I did these are some Spanish language goth bands from the US. I was going to do an English language one, but then I just thought, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to just do everyone. In part because I did want to include, the 4 bands I mentioned last time, and also because I found out there was a band that I missed because they are extremely new, and that is Fin del Mundo. And what did I have to say about them? So, like I said, they're Spanish language, and they're female-fronted death rock from San Francisco. Oh, look, another death rock band from the Bay Area, and another female-fronted band. Yay, that's always fun. I like them a lot. They're just pretty typical death rock. They're cool. You like death rock, you'll probably like them. And they're in Spanish. We need to hear more death rock in Spanish. That's always fun. Okay, after that is GAST. They're a dark punk band from Houston, Texas. It seems like a lot of the Texas goth bands are sort of like dark punk and death rock, especially the Latino-fronted ones, because you'll see there's a lot of Texas on this list. And GAST is they have the sort of shouty punk vocals, but the music has the more typical goth sound in terms of that post-punk guitar, and then the bass that's sort of from typical goth music. So that's kind of an interesting dichotomy, is that the music isn't as punk, it's more just straight goth, but the vocals are very punk. And so that was GAST. Oh, Medusa Stare. There. Yes, I downloaded their music legally. I just did it, over digital, and I like to have everything on a physical thing so I don't lose it forever, because that has happened to me. Anyways, Medusa Stare, what do I have to say about them? A lot. I like them a lot. They're a Seattle, Washington-based band, and they're another, anarcho-goth PDX female-fronted band. So about them is that they have sort of traditional female punk sounding vocals with, once again, that more post-punk sounding guitar and bass. They sing a lot of social issues related music, and they actually have some songs, or pieces I should say, with spoken word by Sasha LaPointe. That's very interesting. She's a Native American, or I think she's white Native American, but U.S. Native American. So that's interesting. Spoken word is cool. I like it when people use spoken word in music, but that's only 2 songs on that particular album. They have a few albums out. And then, let's see, who do we have after that? Meldamor, another band that you'll remember from my Spanish language US goth bands. And Meldamor is, they are a little bit genre fluid, I guess you could say. Because they're mostly dark synthwave and kind of part of that new wave revival thing, but they even have a few songs that sound a little bit more death rocky, so, and they have both male and female vocals, so, if you have a preference, you'll hear it no matter what. That's awesome. After Meldamor, I have the Objects. And they are from Brownsville, Texas. Oh, look, more Texas. Yay, Texas. I've never been to Texas, but this makes me want to go because they have a lot of good goth bands. They're a dark post-punk band, and they have some death rocky sounding stuff, and they have other influences as well. So look, another sort of genre fluid band that we have. And after that is Pilgrims of Yearning. Oh, good, I got it right. I kept on calling them Pilgrims of Learning when I was practicing. They're from Boston, Massachusetts. I think that's the only time Massachusetts shows up on this list. And they are like an indie goth band and so they have sort of like an indie rock sound, but also a post-punk sound, and they have a lady singer, and they're a bit wavy at times. As far as, like, they have some obvious new wave influences, especially in the lead singer's vocals, but they aren't synthy, if that makes any sense. And after that, we have, next, something totally different is Shanghai Beach. They are from New York, and they're sort of synth poppy dark wave. And they also have, like, they're more of the minimal and cold wave sound, and they have deep male vocals, which I guess is pretty typical for the genre, right? Yay, they're fun. After Shanghai Beach is Shrouds. They're Southern California death rock. Oh, wow, Southern California death rock. Who expected that? Shrouds, so yeah, they're Southern California. They're death rock, and they have a lot of 80s punk inspiration. And the vocalist, he doesn't sound like Roz Williams, but he has similar intonation to him. And they also have a lot of religious references in their lyrics. So that's kind of cool. And then Twin Tribes. There's a band that you've probably heard of. They're like the basic goth band of nowadays. Or one of the basic goth bands. But the only basic one that ends up on this list. Not that they're basic. I mean, they are basic, but they're not bad. I was gonna have their CD here as one of my props, but my dad's borrowing it. So see, that should tell you how good they are. Dads like them. You like them. I like them. When I saw them live, that place was packed. Oh my goodness. But what is their actual music like? So they're a darkwave band. Oh, from Brownsville, Texas. There goes Texas again. They're very 80s revival sounding, synth based. It's 2 guys. And something that's interesting is that they sing a lot of like magical topics. And when people think of like goth music that touches on sort of mystical topics, they don't really think of synthy and dark wavy stuff. But here these guys are. So see, they're really breaking these boundaries down as far as goth subgenres go. Now, who's next? Un hombre solo. There's a band that you also remember from my Spanish language goth bands video from US video. And he's from New York, another place that shows up multiple times on this list. And he's a one-man band, so un hombre solo, one-man band, who would have thought. So he's sort of a cold wave, minimal wave sounding. It reminds me a lot of sort of early new wave, like, early Depeche Mode and, other bands that didn't make it as big. in how minimal it is, but also very much back when new wave was alternative and weird sounding still. Awesome stuff. And speaking of which, next is Voidlust, which is an incredibly new wavy dark wave from Riverside, California. Also a mostly one-man band that he sort of reminds me of a lot of early new wave too, but also some not as early, more later new wave when it caught on a little bit, but it's still alternative and it's still dark and dark wavy. And anyways, last but not least is Vueltas. I wanted to wear the shirt for this video, but I can't find it, and it doesn't have a cactus on it, so... Vueltas is from Portland, Oregon, neo-death rock band, female-fronted, and like I said, you may remember hearing about them in my last video, and, you know, they are sort of typical for modern death rock, but, you know, even if you like old death rock, I think you'll still like them because they're good and you should listen to them. So anyways, yeah, that's my list of Spanish language goth bands that are from the United States. I'll have them all listed below. I know that YouTube sometimes has limits on how many links you can post, so I'll try to post all their Bandcamps. I probably won't even include my own social media this time. I will if I can have room, but you know, you probably follow me if you follow me here. So that's this list. Please do try to, if you're going to buy their music, do it this Friday. If you miss this Friday, I mean, you should do it anyways, because they're good bands. You should support them. Thank you for watching. Bye.